This chart compares Wi-Fi radiation levels to peer-reviewed scientific research. It shows in vivid detail that Wi-Fi emits much higher levels of radiation than what has been reported by peer-reviewed science to cause adverse biological and health effects. In order to see this chart as clearly as possible, you may want to pause the video and adjust the playback quality to the highest setting possible. Okay, so if you start up at the top at 10 million or 10 million microwatts per square meter, for those who are more technical, this is what the FCC exposure guidelines claim is safe for the general public. This is based solely on thermal effects, meaning the only biological effect they consider is the heating of bodily tissue, much like heating something in the microwave oven. This is despite thousands of peer-reviewed studies that have been published from around the world that show many other effects at much lower levels. Okay, so let's get to the heart of this chart. So 90,000, this is the level of radiation that's emitted from iPads and Wi-Fi laptops if the Wi-Fi is turned on. This is direct body contact. So this is what your hands would be absorbing. This is what your lap would be absorbing if you're holding it in your lap. This is what your reproductive organs will be absorbing if they're close by. 90,000 is more radiation than where effects have been reported. So at 60,000, scientists have found DNA damage in cells. At 50,000, impaired nervous system activity. At 40,000, slowed memory, altered immune function in children. And also at 40,000, changes in brain function that would affect memory and learning. At 35,000 in bold, that is the radiation level emitted 1 foot away from a laptop if the Wi-Fi is turned on. Notice underneath this at 30,000, this is the level that scientists have found irreversible infertility in mice at 3 generations. And beneath that, at 20,000, scientists have found double-strand DNA damage. These are very serious biological effects. Now notice that there's a lot of effects underneath this. For example, at 3,500, there's pathological leakage in the blood-brain barrier. At 3,000, effects on the neurological system and on brain function. At 2,000, 2 times the rate of leukemia in children. At 1,500, reduced memory function, and at 1,300, decreased cognition and well-being. Now in bold, at 1,000, this is the radiation level that is emitted around 10 feet away from a Wi-Fi router, or also around 100 yards away from a cell tower. So what's important to realize here is if a person is sitting 10 feet away from a Wi-Fi router, even if they aren't using a Wi-Fi enabled device, such as a laptop or an iPad, they're still being exposed to significant levels of radiation that are higher than this whole other tier of studies, such as at 638, decreased cognitive function, at 500, adverse neurological, cardiovascular symptoms and cancer risk, also at 500, 10 times the increased risk of cancer in women. And then down towards the bottom, at 100, you have behavioral disruption. Also at 100, significant increases in breast cancer, fatigue, headaches, sleeping problems. Down at 50, we have sleep disturbances, headaches, fatigue. At 30, children are more sensitive, so they experience behavioral problems in school, headaches, irritation, concentration difficulties, and these effects continue the whole way down to 3 microwatts per square meter. Now looking at the bottom, low radiation natural environments have a level of around 0.001. This is 3,000 times less than 3. So something to realize here is that Wi-Fi environments expose us to levels of microwave radiation that are thousands, or in the case of handheld devices, millions of times higher than what are out in nature today, and billions of times higher than what our grandparents or great-grandparents or all other ancestors before us ever experienced.